Life often tests us in small ways. Sometimes in moments that seem insignificant, a plate of food, a kind smile, a helping hand, reveal the strength of a person's heart. This is the story of Emily, a young waitress struggling to make ends meet, who dared to show compassion when everyone else looked away. She gave a hungry homeless man leftovers from the diner where she worked. For that, she was humiliated and fired. But the very next moment, a man walked in, a man whose decision would change her life forever. Emily worked at Sonny's Diner, a modest 24-hour spot on the edge of town. The smell of frying bacon and coffee clung to her uniform long after her shift ended. She was young, no older than 23, and carried the weary look of someone who bore far more responsibility than her years should allow. Her father was gone. Her mother was ill, and her younger brother, Liam, relied on her for everything from groceries to school fees. Every dollar Emily earned counted, and every tip determined whether they could pay the bills. The customers rarely noticed her beyond the plates she carried. To most, she was invisible, just another waitress. But Emily's heart was anything but ordinary. It was a rainy Thursday night when Emily noticed him again, the same homeless man who often lingered by the diner's side window. His beard was unkempt, his clothes soaked through, his hands trembling from the cold. Other waitresses ignored him. The manager, Mr. Clark, scowled every time he passed by. "Bad for business," he would mutter. But Emily couldn't ignore him. Every night, she saw him watching families laugh over dinner, couples sharing desserts, kids spilling milkshakes. His eyes carried a quiet hunger, not just for food, but for dignity. That night, when the rush ended and half-eaten plates sat abandoned, Emily hesitated. She knew the rules. No freebies, no leftovers, no charity. The diner threw out what customers didn't finish. But something inside her rebelled. Emily glanced at the window. The homeless man was still there, shivering. She picked up a warm plate of untouched pancakes and bacon, wrapped it quickly in foil, and slipped out the side door. "Here," she whispered, pressing the food into his hands. The man's eyes widened. Tears filled them as he croaked. "Thank you, bless you." Emily smiled softly. No one should go hungry. It was a small act, a simple act, but it was also the moment that would ignite everything to come. When Emily walked back inside, Mr. Clark was waiting. His face was red with fury. "Emily, did you just give food to that bum?" Her heart raced. "It was leftovers, sir. We were going to throw it away." Clark slammed his hand on the counter. "Do you know how this looks? Feeding vagrants outside the diner? Customers will think we're running a soup kitchen." Emily stood her ground. He was starving. Clark sneered. "You're not paid to think. You're paid to serve. Pack your things. You're fired." The diner fell silent. Other waitresses looked away. Some customers shook their heads. Emily felt heat rise in her chest. Anger, shame, disbelief. Fired. For kindness. She grabbed her bag, her uniform still stained with coffee, and headed for the door. That's when it happened. As Emily pushed open the door, a tall man in a tailored suit entered. He looked out of place in the small-town diner. His presence carried weight. Sharp eyes, calm authority. He glanced at Emily's tear-streaked face, then at Mr. Clark's smug grin. "What's going on here?" the man asked. Clark straightened. "Nothing, sir. Just disciplining staff." Emily swallowed hard. She could have left. She could have stayed silent. But something told her this man was different. "I gave food to a homeless man," Emily said quietly, "and I was fired for it." The diner fell into stunned silence. The man's expression shifted. His gaze sharpened, then softened. He set his briefcase on the counter. "My name," he said slowly, "is Alexander Kane, CEO of Kane Enterprises." Gasps rippled through the diner. Even Clark paled. Everyone had heard of Kane Enterprises, one of the largest corporations in the state. Alexander turned to Clark. "You fired her for feeding someone who was hungry?" Clark stammered. "Yes, sir. It was against policy." "Policy without compassion," Alexander interrupted, "is nothing but cruelty." Then he looked at Emily. His eyes held something unexpected. Respect. Alexander stepped closer to Emily. "What's your name?" "Emily," she whispered. He nodded. "Emily, how would you like to work for me?" The room went dead silent. Clark's jaw dropped. The other waitresses froze. Customers stared in disbelief. Emily blinked. "Work for you?" "Yes," Alexander said firmly. "I need people like you. People who care. Come by my office tomorrow morning." Emily clutched her bag tighter, her heart racing. From fired waitress to being offered a job by one of the most powerful men in the city in the span of 5 minutes. The next morning, Emily stood in front of the towering glass building of Kane Enterprises. Her uniform was gone, replaced by her one good dress. When she entered the lobby, the receptionist smiled warmly and said, "Mr. Kane is expecting you." Emily couldn't believe it. She was led to the top floor, into an office bigger than her entire apartment. Alexander greeted her with the same calm authority. "You showed me something yesterday," he said. "You showed me humanity. I'd like you to join our foundation. We run programs to help the homeless and hungry. I believe you'd be perfect." Tears welled in Emily's eyes. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Alexander smiled. Weeks turned into months. Emily worked tirelessly at the Kane Foundation. Her job was no longer about serving food in silence. It was about creating programs that fed hundreds, sheltering families, giving hope to the hopeless. Her compassion became her strength. Her voice carried weight. And soon, the same people who once overlooked her began to follow her lead. One night, as she walked home, Emily saw the same homeless man she had helped. Only this time, he was walking out of a shelter funded by the Kane Foundation, smiling, alive, and full of hope. Emily realized in that moment, one small act had started all of this. Months later, Emily returned to Sonny's Diner, not as a waitress, not in uniform, but as a guest of honor. The same tables, the same smell of coffee and bacon, but this time, all eyes were on her. Even Mr. Clark shifted uncomfortably as Alexander himself walked in with her. Alexander raised a glass. To Emily, she reminded us that true power is not in money or policy, but in kindness. The diner erupted in applause. Emily smiled, tears in her eyes. She had been invisible. She had been humiliated. She had been fired. But now she was celebrated. Emily's story teaches us a truth we often forget. Kindness is never wasted. The world may laugh at it. The world may punish it. But in the end, compassion always finds its reward. Backhand index pointing right the leftovers she gave that night didn't just feed a homeless man. They opened the door to her destiny. So the next time you face a choice, remember Emily, because sometimes the smallest act of kindness is the greatest step toward greatness. Sparkles, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories that inspire and transform.